It is a fair amount behind, so I'm actually going to start a little early here so that it's really rolling when people actually show up. So let me go back to my Hangout window here. I am going to do a little bit of a screen share on this, and we're going to get started. So, boom, and boom. And Lisa, can you see that screen pretty well in the Hangout, do you know, just for testing purposes?
I can see it on our screen, but as far as the Hangout, not yet.
Right, so the Hangout's a little bit behind. Okay, cool. So I want to get started here so that we're rolling pretty much right on time. Welcome to Mastering Money and Wealth, how to create a fundamental shift in your financial future and systematically create wealth, security, and more freedom in your life. Welcome. I'm really excited to be here with you today. I deeply appreciate your time, and I'm not going to waste it at all today. There's a lot of hype and a lot of craziness out there about get rich quick and all that. This is not that. This is sort of dealing with really the internal stuff that we need to do to figure out money and wealth, and also some actual tools and techniques and what the best shortcut is to actually making and amassing wealth and money and winning at this game. So I wanted to start with some stats today so that we kind of know, what's out there. The Center for Retirement Research says that a typical worker should accumulate about $363,000 by the time he or she retires. That's what it costs on average, and that's not even a very nice above average life. Let's say that's just on average. Okay, about $363,000, and yet 30% of workers in a study last year, 2012, reported that they had less than $1,000 in savings and investment. And that's from the Employee Benefit Research Institute. Worse than that, we deal with other things, right? A 65-year-old couple retiring in 2012 was estimated to need $240,000 just to cover medical expenses through retirement. So it's expensive to get old, right? It costs money to die, and it certainly costs money to live, right? But as we age, we have these needs, and if we're not building the current wealth that we need, that's a real problem. So another thing on that topic is that half of the current retirees surveyed say that they ended up having to leave the workforce unexpectedly as a result of health problems, disability, or actually getting laid off. So the takeaway there is we may not have as much time as we think to get this stuff together. Okay, so many of us have real financial problems, and we may not honor so much how serious those are. Oftentimes we don't look, right? But we have debt piling up. We have little, if any, savings, a lot of us. It feels very much like we can't get ahead. We're always chasing. And some of us are embarrassed we can't buy certain things, right? Embarrassed in front of our friends, embarrassed in front of our family, worried about providing and maybe even just doing our share. Many of us are taxing other family members and are draining, either it's our spouse or our parents, or one day we might even become a burden to our children. So this is absolutely a really, really, really important talk today, and you're in the right place. Right? You're here if you don't feel like you have your wealth exactly where you want it in your life. This is for people who struggle with overspending, emotional spending, right? It's for people that want the core practice that's going to change the game, okay? So I'm going to invite you to commit right now, all right? Let me just take a quick drink here. I want you to use this webinar as a commitment to changing, okay? Be different going forward than you've been in the past. One of the most exciting things is that we actually can change, right? We can actually decide to be different and then behave differently and do things. Now we're up against some challenges in that, and I'm going to talk about that, right? But be different than the stats we just went over. Make a commitment to growing wealth in your life. Commit to making some simple changes so that you can have more security, more freedom, and more happiness in your life starting right now, okay? Now, what you focus on matters, all right? And I mean this in a couple of different ways. the universe is going to treat you really, really well if you just set your intention to care more about growing your wealth, okay? If we have negative feelings about wealth, or we're jealous of wealthy people, or you know, when we think about money, we get angry, or any of that stuff, right? We tend to avoid it maybe and not deal with it. If we don't like going through our taxes, if we don't like budgeting, all that stuff, right? It ends up we don't focus on it, we don't grow it. So focus on money in your life, but I also want you to focus on this webinar specifically, all right? Spend your time wisely. Shut down other email and other things. Don't be a distractive bird, you know, through this, just flying around to any shiny object. Commit to being here for this time, because some time is more important than others. You know, watching a sitcom isn't as valuable as learning new skills and figuring out, you know, how to change your life for the positive. So bring your focus, apply some willpower, and do it here. Part of the reason I often have these talks earlier in the day is that we literally have more willpower now than we do later. So I'm going to invite you to grab a pen and some paper. I don't know how much we'll do with that. I do have some plans to do a little bit and invite you maybe to write some stuff down, but you may want to take some notes for sure, okay? So, you know, there's good news here. There is nothing but opportunity all around you. You can figure this stuff out. When we learn the skills that I'm going to talk about today and we deal with our own issues around money, things start to change, and they change literally immediately, okay? So this topic is huge. It's literally enormous. There's only so much that we can do in an hour. I'm sharing ideas that I got from other sources, and since we only have an hour or so, I may go long. I'll do my best to be on time, but you know, I may go long. I'm going to do my best to give you the information of where these ideas come from. You know, what book, what resource, whatever. There's a huge list of books that have been incredibly helpful to me. I'm going to be letting you know what those are as much as I can, and also, you know, ways that I can specifically support you beyond this talk if you want to go further. So participate, right? Log into chat below. I'm going to do my best to answer any questions as we go. Lisa Wells, my amazing business manager and good friend, is going to be helping me out today, deal with comments, etc., and she can, you know, pipe in. Hopefully you can hear me now, Lisa. Is that right? Are you right there? I don't know, maybe she's on mute or not with us, but I'm hoping if you're here, just you're here. Okay, great. So I'm going to do my best to answer questions throughout. So if any come up, you know, Lisa, just cut in and stop my babbling and ask. And I'm also going to go over some questions at the end as time allows. And you know, if people are interested, I'll stay on as long as I can. So let's look at specifically what we're up against and what we're going to be covering here today. Challenge number one. I'm not kidding when I say that we think we want wealth, but we actually don't want wealth. There is so much opportunity out there. We actually know a bunch of the simple things to do, but we don't do them, right? So why is that? I'm going to prove it to you today that it's more than possible that you're not connected to growing wealthy in the way that you need to be in your identity, okay? We are not naturally set up to be wealthy, and we don't have a clear vision of what it takes and what that looks like to make the commitments and do the actions over time that it takes to grow money and to master wealth. Okay? So what is the solution that I'm going to share with you today on this? We need to normalize wealth. So solution number one we're going to go into in depth is how to normalize wealth. I'm going to show you how to do this. We're going to create a clear vision of wealth. I'm going to talk about the power of visioning and what it takes to make an identity shift. It's a big deal, what I'm going to share there. And honestly, nothing matters if we don't have the right mindsets, right? We can talk about the mindsets of the wealthy, and we can go over a bunch of that, but we actually need to go even deeper than that and see how our own inner talk creates our reality and our actual identity. And I'm going to show you what I mean by that in a little bit, okay? So challenge number two, we don't have the right skills and knowledge, all right? We actually, many of us don't really know what to do. We haven't been trained. There's all kinds of stats. When I was looking up stats to open this talk with, there's tons about how kids aren't taught this stuff, and we don't know it, and we just learn what our parents teach us, right? So what is the number one skill to make more money in your life? What is the number one management skill needed to grow wealthy? What are the solutions, right? What do we need to do? What I'm going to share on this one is how to set up wealth systems. I'm going to explain what to do starting right now, hopefully right after this call. if you're not already doing it. I'm going to share the number one management skill needed to grow wealthy, and it's something you can take action on right away. I'm also going to talk briefly about how to make more money, what the number one skill is to make more money, whether you're a business owner or you're in a job. It's the same thing on both sides of that. And some of these tips are going to be complete eye-openers, and some you're going to find to be a little bit obvious, okay? But even the obvious ones, not enough people do them, right? This is the one commitment change that I'm going to share with you that changes the game. It really begins the building of wealth, okay? So, and challenge number 3, we don't have enough discipline or willpower, right? We end up self-sabotaging when it comes to money, and it's actually beyond money. It's around weight. It's around any kind of real change that we want to do. So, why don't we do the things that we know how to do? I bet you actually know quite a bit of what to do about money. You know you should save. You know you should manage your money better. You probably know you should have a budget. You need to spend less and be frugal, right? But many of us sabotage our own success. Why would we do that, right? What are we really up against in creating value in our life? What is value mirroring for us? I'm going to share what to do on a subconscious level and share the best technique to implant new patterns for yourself starting today. So self-sabotage, actually, you might think, oh, I don't do that, but it can be subconscious. We may not even know that we're doing it. And I have a test that I hope I can get you guys to go through later on in this call so that you can find out if you are sabotaging yourself. So the solution to this is to automate success, to create real change for yourself. We're going to change your subconscious mind. All right, we're going to end self-sabotage for good. And I'm talking about a full identity change. You have to become somebody new. I'm going to share my patterning practice with you in this talk, and it's a visualization that you can do to literally recode your own limiting beliefs and repattern positive, useful patterns in your life. And this changes everything, okay? So we are going to do some incredible things today. I am, excuse me, I'm hoping I can do a few different visualizations with you. And the one that specifically shows you why you probably are not set for wealth right now is really interesting, and we're going to do that shortly. That's incredibly eye-opening, but the repatterning process at the end of the talk is incredible. I'm going to highly recommend you don't miss that because it goes far beyond money. It can be, it can help you repattern literally anything you want, issues around food, relationship, anything else you're stuck with or blocked in your life. So stay tuned for that, but you can specifically apply it to money and wealth. Okay, in the mailing that I sent out for this, I mentioned that I would share some of my past on this webinar, and this is some of the stuff that I'm actually not too proud of. And I didn't think it would be, but it's been a stretch for me to write about this, some of it, because I'm not really proud of a bunch of it, and it doesn't actually match who I am. Okay, but where this is going to go from, and I'm going to share my story in a second, it's going to go from the ability to create massive change in somebody's life, right? That's kind of what we have to do. There's definitely little tricks and techniques. You're going to get those in this talk, but we're talking about really shifting into somebody massively wealthy, right? What does that look like? So, my story is, quite honestly, that I was absolutely a disaster. A lot of people who meet me now, they think, oh, this guy's got it all going on, and he's a natural success. This must come naturally, and he must have had a really nice upbringing and all that. The truth is I went through a lot of really, really brutal abuse growing up. I went through really bad sexual abuse, other different kinds of abuse, emotional abuse and other physical stuff. It was really, really bad. And this left me not having the skills to be emotionally balanced. I started doing drugs at a very, very early age. This left me kind of unable to trust people and feel safe in different ways. So, I wanted success and happiness like everybody, and I have a good heart, whatever that means. I sort of have the opinion that we all have good hearts, but I failed for years. I ended up really massively addicted to substances. I was in jails and institutions. I was literally as dysfunctional as it gets. I ended up homeless, and I hit a complete rock bottom. One time I woke up and I was living in my car at the time, and a cop was banging on the window, right? I wake up to that actually in the middle of the day, and the entire car was illegal. I had no license, the registration was bad, I had a stolen plate on the car, it had no inspection, and on and on and on. Now, I'm not an idiot. I knew that the cop, when he pulled up behind me and I was sleeping in the car, he'd already run the plate, and he was asking me to move the vehicle, which all of a sudden becomes a moving violation. And so if I moved, I was going to get in a whole lot more trouble, and I didn't want to. So I'm like, I'm not going to move, and he says move, and I'm not going to move, and he makes me move. So as I'm pulling off, I get so mad as he's walking back to his car that I just take off. I know he's going to pull up behind me and pull me over, so I take off, and I end up in this, basically huge highway chase with a bunch of police officers in New Jersey, state police officers, basically. So I ended up losing him, but I didn't outrun the radio. Another car caught up with me and ended up pulling me over, and that pullover ended up in a scuffle. The guy was slamming the butt of his gun into my window. I wouldn't lower my hands to open the door because I didn't want to give him an excuse to shoot me. When we finally, I kept saying the door's open, the door's open. When he finally pulled me out, again, this is a different police officer than the first one, he's shoving a gun up in my face, and I just said, be a cop, be a cop. And it ended up in a scuffle. I ended up taking away his gun from him, and I broke his hand really, really badly. In fact, so badly he could never do active duty again because his gun hand had damage in it. And that's how the scene looked when the rest of the cops finally caught up with the chase. So a bunch of other police officers roll up, and I have disarmed a cop, and I'm on top of him, holding him down. So not good. I'm not going to go into too many details of what happened after that. It was many days of very, very, very unpleasant stuff. But I ended up in jails. I've been in institutions. I've been, probably pretty close to dead many times. And I was not successful at all. I was absolutely a complete disaster in my life. And there's a lot more to that story, right? I gave you one example of something that I went through, but there was a lot going on there. But something shifted in me. I ended up having a breakthrough. I had what I call a fundamental shift, and I started to understand the core thing that leads to success for us, right? And it literally changed everything. I figured out how to, I got a temp job at first. I had a lot of court cases to deal with. I came back from being homeless, and I started to raise up in the corporate ladder. I ended up getting sick. I'm going to show you something about that in a second, but very quickly I became the youngest vice president at this company that I work for. Now, I had no credentials at all, right? I had no college degree, I had no real work history, but I had learned how to get results. I rose rapidly to the highest level available to me in the corporate world, okay? So, here I am today, and while I was back in that corporate thing, I knew I was onto something. I'd started to create different methods and systems that produce massive results for people and that do so immediately, right? I'm considered kind of a mental ninja, and I go in and I rewire how people's brains work to get them stuff. And so I shared these systems that I had with people in the business world, and I tested them to see if they worked. And over time, I got rid of what didn't work. I kept the things that really mattered. And soon, this is years ago now, I started to get a line outside my office of others that wanted to learn from me. I started a podcast to share these ideas with even more people. I quickly had thousands of followers and hundreds of thousands of downloads, and people started asking me for coaching. And I was like, coaching, that's kind of weird. I wasn't offering that, and yet people from all over the world were asking for it. People from Ireland and Australia and Japan, as well as all over the United States here. So I ended up leaving that vice president job. People thought I was crazy, but I left the comfort and security of that corporate job. Because I wasn't that crazy though, right? I've made and saved enough at that time that I didn't feel like I'd actually ever have to work again. Now, this was before the crash that we just went through, but I had very quickly amassed a lot of wealth, significant wealth in a really short period of time. And I knew I could repeat exactly what I did before anywhere that I wanted to go. So leaving that company wasn't at all scary for me. And since I've been running this business for 8 years or so, it's wildly successful. I make more money than I did as a VP, coaching and consulting, literally just 2 days a week. So it's it's amazing. It's fun. You know, I have everything that I kind of want. But I want to share something else. Along the way, I had other struggles too, right? It wasn't just homelessness and addiction and all that. You know, I used to be 75 pounds heavier, okay? And, you know, I wasn't happy in my life at that point. I didn't have everything figured out, but I learned how to lose the weight, right? So change takes something. If you want to dramatically change your finances, you're going to have to learn what it takes to truly change your behaviors and your results, okay? Something else I've had to deal with is that I got really, really sick as well. I got cancer, and you know, I had to go through an incredibly aggressive chemotherapy, and so not only do I know what it's like to be mentally and emotionally sick, right, going through abuse, going through addiction, creating a whole lot of trauma on myself just from being such a disaster, but I also know what it is to be physically really sick as well, and always the consummate kind of rebel. You'll notice what a rule follower I am. I'm sitting there getting my chemo drip, really, really, really sick. I'm not supposed to be out of my bed. This is a chemo that you can't do outpatient. You have to actually go in. And it was very difficult to walk at this point. My muscles were breaking down. I was very, very sick. And I was a smoker at the time. I'm not anymore. I quit a long time ago. But look at the rule follower I am. I'm right under the no smoking sign and puffing away. This picture was taken by my mom, who was I hadn't seen that she was here yet, and she was coming up from across the street. So, you know, what a phenomenal difference. I was able to overcome all these things that life threw at me, from abuse and sickness, being homeless, completely poor and broke, out of shape, to what I am today, right? Like, here's my life today. I have the love of my life. I travel. I go see great shows, right? I'm deeply wealthy in spirit. I own real estate for myself. I'm a landlord. I have stock accounts and bank accounts and Roth IRAs. You know, before they said you should have, you know, a few $100,000. I've got well more than that. They say you should have 6 months of savings. I could stop working for a decade without even thinking about it, right? So I want to give you access to these results, right? I'm going to share the methods and systems with you right now that were the beginning of what changed everything for me, okay? So the number one thing that I learned was how to manage my mind, okay? I had a fundamental shift, and my life was changed forever, period. The way that I can decide how to implant those positive thoughts and beliefs and pattern them, right, so that they actually deal with my subconscious. This is what allowed me to stop serious addictions, to lose 75 pounds in 10 months, keep it off. It helped me deal with being really sick, and it helped me grow wealth and do the habits that are necessary to get money in my life, okay? So I'm going to give you the resources that will help you make money, increase your sales, climb the corporate ladder if that's what you're interested in. But if your brain is set to sabotage yourself, you are never going to apply what you know. I want you to understand that on the top is the knowledge and the behaviors and all that, and you can have all that. But you probably know enough already, actually, right? Again, you know you should be saving, you know you should have a plan and budget. You probably have books around that show you how to make more money, how to invest, how to do all that stuff. But is it working? Okay? If you are set to self-sabotage, that's going to be a big issue. Okay? So let's get into solution number one. We need to normalize a wealth, you know, our wealth mentally, all right, and get our mentality right, all right. So we have to get set up to be mentally rich. Now, why does this matter? Okay, as I said before, we actually don't. I'm going to explain this. I know this sounds like I'm a lunatic, but we don't really want wealth. We actually want what's comfortable to us. Okay, so our desire for wealth isn't set. We have these stories in our head that we want to be wealthy, but it's not true. We actually resent wealth oftentimes. We're overwhelmed by it. It seems annoying. We don't want to deal with it, right? So that's how we actually feel about it, and then we have this story in our head, oh, yeah, I want that. I'm going to show you more what I mean about that in a second, okay? Another reason this matters, this normalization of wealth, we can't really see what the new reality will look like if we don't have a clear vision. And what we end up doing is we keep dragging our current reality from the past into the present and into the future. We have to normalize wealth and riches if we want to shift this. I'm going to tell you more about that in a second. And we need to actually have a plan to grow our wealth. And the simple creation of a goal and a commitment to it will be the beginning of that process. We need to decide, actually, to become wealthy, okay? So I said before we don't want wealth. You can be so sure that you want wealth, but how we feel about it is tricky. I want to give you an example. When I've always thought that I wanted wealth, but I used to see people, let's say a young man or something, and I would see him driving a really nice BMW, which is the exact car that I have now and the one that I wanted at the time, right? So say it's a young guy, I would in my head say all kinds of crazy things, right? That dude's dad probably got it for him. He probably inherited the money, right? Like, you know, he's probably just lucky. He's had better advantages, whatever. I would kind of crap all over the guy for having the nice thing, right? So we're so sure that we want wealth, but how do we actually feel about rich people? I want you to, if you did take out a piece of paper, take a second now and write down the word money. Okay, this is an exercise from T. Harv Eker. All right, I'm going to share a couple other ideas from him as well in this talk. If you write down money, and actually as an exercise right after that, what are the words that springs up to you? Right? What do you actually brainstorm out? If I ask you to write down the words rich people, what do rich people mean to you? Okay, what does having a lot of money mean to you? So if you actually take a second and do that, you might find if you write money, you might write things like power, greed, you know, too busy. Okay, rich people, you might think they're arrogant, annoying, lucky, selfish. Okay, now you might think great things about it too, but each of those negative thoughts about wealth, about money, about rich people, those feelings absolutely matter. Okay, so here's why they matter so drastically. We will not become something that we don't like. Our subconscious brain won't let us. Okay, so we might have running, right, and this is when we're not aligned, right, when our insides are not aligned. We might have running this idea, I really, really, really want to be wealthy. All right, it's really important. But I see wealth and I'm like, I hate that guy. I'm jealous of it and I hate it. Our brain won't let us become the jerk that we're jealous of. Okay? So a lesson here, learn to bless that which you want. Okay? When I changed to being somebody that when I saw a nice car, I actually did this conscious shift. I said, I'm going to compliment that person. I'm going to celebrate that person. So I started to see, you know, a guy in a convertible BMW or a Lexus or something beautiful. I would go out of my way to go up and be like, I love your car. That is beautiful, right? You're taking really good care of it. Way to go, okay? Because it's important that we bless that which we want, right? That way, my subconscious mind makes it completely safe to go be this guy, right? Completely safe to do that. And I'll tell you what, as soon as I started doing that, it wasn't long after that that I started to have massive success around money and ended up having my own BMW, okay? So I want you to visualize this for a moment. We're going to, if you'll do it with me, I want to take a deep breath and do relax into this. I've heard this visualization from a bunch of different sources, right? T. Harv Eker did something similar to this in his Millionaire Mind Intensive. Actually, T. Harv Eker wasn't the speaker at the one I went to, but it's his content. And then there's other people who teach similar things to this as well. So do it with me now and see something interesting, all right? I want you to write down on a piece of paper how much you want to earn a month. Like what would be a really nice figure? For a lot of people, a first level is, you know what, I want to make $10,000 a month in income. That would be awesome, right? That's $120 a year. It's a great start for a lot of people starting out their businesses and all that. Yours might be bigger, might be smaller, but pick a number. And now take a deep breath with me. We're just going to relax for a second. And you got that number. And now I want you to add a 0 to the end of it. So if it was $10,000, now it's $100,000 a month. And I want you to imagine making 10 times what you thought you wanted to make. how does that change how you feel about making the money? So again, somebody starts with 10,000, in this we add a zero. We imagine making it 1,000 per month. What about another zero? What if you made $1 million a month? What's your brain do? Does your brain go, no, like that's not me. I don't even know what that is. Does your brain go, that would be too hard? Does your brain go, I'd have to lose all my friends? Does your brain go, I have no idea what to do that, right? This actually freaks some of us out. This is a great test, and it's quick. We can do it much longer. When I work with people directly, I'll spend much more time kind of digging in on this. But this is a great test to see if you have any unconscious resistance to building real wealth, right? Why would this feel weird to anybody? Why would this freak somebody out? Well, it's because we might have that other wiring in our system, meaning that we might think it will be too hard to manage that much wealth or too hard to create it, or we might not even feel worth it, right? I'm not worth that much money. Who would pay me? Why would anyone, the whole world, why would they pay me $1 million a month? That's ridiculous. Okay? So your money blueprint, right? T. Harv Eker calls this your money blueprint, and he uses a thermostat to explain it, a money thermostat, right? I'll tell you that story in a second. Other people call this things like your money set point, your money comfort zone, right? There's a lot of people that talk about this quality of us, and this has everything to do with changing outside of money as well. But the best way to think about this is that you have a certain comfort zone for where you feel and you believe about yourself of what you can make. And your biggest goal is probably outside that, or you'd already have it to some degree, okay? So imagine if you set a room to a certain temperature, a really comfortable temperature, and you set it at 72. Well, what's the air conditioner going to do? If it gets hot outside, the sun comes out, and all of a sudden, hot air is coming in, the thermostat will kick on, the air conditioner will come down, and it'll reset the room back to 72. If it starts to get cold, right, the heat will come on, and it'll bring the temperature up to 72. Well, our money is like that too, okay? Your money thermostat is set at what you think you're worth, what you think you can make. It's whatever your brain thinks is reality. And imagining a lot more kicks on the air conditioner to cool things down, okay? And we end up self-sabotaging. We don't make the sales calls. We don't do the extra report at work. We don't make the sales. We don't do the things because we have to stay in our comfort zone, okay? And so I hope you really get that this illusion of that we're okay making more money is really not as true as we think it is. We're actually set to resist that, okay? So what's the lesson here? We need to normalize this new level, all right? I want you to visualize something again with me right now. Go back and take a second, back to the number that you wanted to make a month, okay? Take the 10,000 that was my example, and we're going to add that first zero to it. We're not going to make it the ridiculous $1 million a month for some of us, right? But we're going to make it $100,000 a month. Now, I want you to actually sort of get up and walk around your room, imagining what that person lives like. Imagine that that's you, okay? What does that person drive? See it in your mind, right? Actually stand up and feel like you make $100,000 a month or whatever your number is. Now, I want you to see it from behind your own eyes. We often visualize things that we don't believe are going to happen in the third person. We'll see ourselves in a movie of it. But we often visualize what we are going to see from our own eyes. So force yourself to visualize this from behind your own eyes. Walk around. Put your chest out, right? Imagine, where do you live when you make that much money? Okay? So we have to normalize the new level because we will not, right? The people that make the more money, that do more than us, they have different actions than us. They have different thoughts, they have different beliefs, and we're not them because we don't do those things. Why don't we do those things? Because they're not us. They're not normal for us. So we have to normalize what it is. So here's an example. When I first bought my BMW, okay, it was beautiful. And I opened the door gingerly, and I was like, nobody touch it, just treat it really well. Well, now in my life, having that is completely normal, and it's no big deal. It's just what I drive. It gets a ding here and there, I get it fixed, I open the door real fast, I slam it. my identity says I should have a BMW now. But there was absolutely a time where that was not the case, okay? But now it's just what I drive. Wouldn't buy anything less. But maybe a Ferrari, or for me, like buying a plane, right? I want to buy like a prop plane or something. But that doesn't feel normal. Like, who has a plane? What's that look like? I have to normalize it. And so an exercise to do is to actually stand up and imagine it. Don't bounce off it. Think it all the way through and actually get connected to the new idea of yourself, okay? So another thing that I want to do here, the third sort of pillar of this in this first section, is to use what I think is the best tip in Think and Grow Rich, right, from Napoleon Hill. There's an incredible practice in there, I'm pretty sure from memory, I think it's chapter 4, all right, and it talks about how to have a specific goal, right? And this is an incredible practice that not only normalizes new levels, but it also uses the power of goal setting. And there's all kinds of studies about that. I'm sure you've heard them. I'll loosely quote one now that could be internet, fodder, but I actually believe it. I think it was Harvard. Like only three people in a graduating class had goals. They ended up, wealthy than all the rest of the class, like put together. And there's endless stories of really, really successful people just having the practice of writing down their goals, okay? So I want to take you through the 4 steps of Napoleon Hill's goal-setting process. He says it's really important to pick a specific amount. So let's say you want to make, $200,000 in 6 months, okay? You got to write the specific amount that you want to make, all right? And pick a specific date that you're going to make it. Decide what you're going to do for the money, okay? It's not like, it just flies out of the air. There's got to be a reciprocal exchange of value. So if that's a raise at work, like, what are you going to do to get the raise? If it's a change in your business that's dramatic, or new sales, or something huge like that, what do you do? What do you have to do? And force your mind to actually think about that, because we're normally bouncing off the world and not really getting to the things that matter, because we're like, I don't know, I'm not thinking about that. So the last step of this is to see that, visualize that actually happening morning and night. Bookend your day. Wake up and think about the specific amount again. Think about the date you're going to have it. Decide what you'll do, and then visualize it. When I say see it, I mean visualize it as real, as happening. I have deeper visualization processes here, but just do that. Okay, and go ahead and go get Think and Grow Rich and read that, because it's a phenomenal book for lots of other reasons. But the benefits of doing this, and when I say doing this, I mean normalizing wealth, right? Becoming really okay, realizing that we actually may not be set to want wealth in the way that we thought we did, and then we're going to have to actually do this normalization so that we actually feel really comfortable at this new level. And I promise you, as you do that, you actually change your ecology. You change the level of where you are in the world, and the universe kind of meets you there, all right? I'm not going to get crazy woo-woo, but it's actually true. The universe shifts for you. So if we find and root out any negative feelings about money, wealth becomes a real option for us. We can't become what isn't normal for us, right? So we need to visualize the change, or we're going to stay stuck, all right? And lastly, real goals set up the reticular activation center in your brain, which is the motivation center, so that we're actually drawn to money. We make the right choices more naturally, and it's outside of our will. It actually just starts to happen, okay? So this is a neat little side idea I want to bring up, and I want you to answer this question for me, okay? If you had a lover, all right, your spouse or girlfriend, boyfriend, whatever, your partner, all right, but you didn't pay any attention to them, you resented them, you didn't spend time, you didn't care for them, you weren't sweet to them, right? You ignored them. What would happen? What would happen if you did that, okay? Well, I'll tell you what, they would leave, all right? They would absolutely leave in a second. People are not going to be treated that way for long. Well, money is the same way. We want to create a love affair with our money, okay? You can't be walking around thinking, money's a burden, I hate it, there's taxes, I have to do the accounting thing, right? Or having anger and jealousy about other people's wealth. We can't feel scarcity and lack, okay? Or our subconscious mind will resist becoming what we think that we want to be. It'll be like, nope, sorry, I'm going to talk a lot more about that in a second, okay? But if you have a love affair with your money, spend time with your money. Get excited about it, right? realize that it's a representation of value, and value is infinite. It's abundant. There is no one pie that we're trying to grab from. Okay. Want to do it well, master money, care about it. All right. This was a huge shift for me, and it's 3 words: love your money. Not in a selfish, greedy, horrible way, but just be respectful. There's a great book called The 7 Stages of Money Maturity. And it talks about how we avoid it at first, we're not looking, we don't grow the skills, all that. But toward the end, we have a real maturity and like an aloha, right? We have a love affair with our money, all right? If you take nothing else away from this, change your relationship to your money and fall into a love affair with it, okay? Another thing is to foster gratitude for what you already have. I want you to focus on how wealthy you already are, okay? Because what you say to yourself is true to you, right? Like, you might have all the money in the world, but if you don't feel wealthy, then you're not wealthy in your experience. So building the practice of gratitude, being thankful for your opportunities, for the money that you do have, for the fact that, you know, if you've got a roof over your head, if you're on this talk, right, if you're on this webinar, you're one of the wealthiest people that has ever lived, ever. Okay, so focus your brain, grow a gratitude practice, and watch how that changes your wealth thermometer. So I'm going to go into financial practices in a second. I'm going to get specific. I did some doodles, and I'm going to talk about how to make more money. All right, we're out of the mental stuff for a second. But I wanted to see if there's any questions, and I don't know if I can easily get back to the page. Lisa, is anybody saying anything? Is there any kind of question happening in there? Hello, Lisa. Boy, I hope I'm online. Anybody there? Let me see if I can switch over to this real quick. Okay. I'm not sure if I just can't hear you if you're not there. All right. So I can maybe see if there's some questions going on here. Hey, AJ and Shannon, and awesome. Dylan. Hey, guys. Okay, Dylan asked a question. I don't know if I can find it. Lisa, are you there? I love these things. I think I just got a text that internet is down, so she might not be in there. Okay. Do you think you had to go through all those rough patches in order to change? Okay, I see that question from Dylan. I don't think you have to go through that, but I think it's one of the easiest ways to change. All right. You know, being really unhappy with your current situation motivates change. Okay. So it is true that oftentimes the people that go through the worst stuff actually figure out the most. Now, many of them don't figure out anything. They crash and burn and completely fall apart. But a lot of the people that do really well, both financially and in sort of spiritual happiness and all this stuff, it's because they went through the tough times. Now, we all have our own level of tough times, and I didn't have to go through all that tough stuff to be who I am today. There's plenty of people who went through nothing like that and are far more successful than I am. But it brings up an interesting point that I probably would have liked to more officially add to this call. What's really interesting is I'm getting private messages. Hold on. We gotta foster being disgusted, right? Like, if we can actually get connected with feeling kind of gross about our current situation, that emotion is one of the most powerful motivators to do stuff. So the blind eye, like not looking, oh, I'm not going to look, I'm gonna placate, I'm gonna be addicted to TV or food or feel something different. That makes another day pass without the amassing of wealth, without the right decisions, without the right behaviors, and we don't get it done, right? So I'm going to highly recommend that we all kind of get in touch with being disgusted, right? Look at your money. Is it where you want it to be? Get a little afraid about it and get connected to that so that you're motivated to really go through it. So no, you don't have to go through everything I went through at all, not at all. But you know, going through tough stuff can be a big motivator to change. The way we can manifest that ourselves is to get connected with being disgusted. So I'm looking at time. I have like way too much to go through here. This is going to go long. I'm just going to say that. So if you are on lunch break or something, I apologize. we're going to do this. So I got to make sure this Hangout gets back to the thing. Give me a second. I'm going to screen share again. I'm just going to talk out loud while I do this. Just going to do my whole desktop. Hopefully that will work. All right. I'm going to hope that that's working and that you're now looking at my screen. So solution number 2 is to set up wealth systems. Okay. So we got to normalize wealth, but we got to figure out how to set up these systems that happen. Now, why does this matter? Because actually, money is counterintuitive. We are set to be immediately gratified, and we're not set to honor our future self. So a really interesting thing here is to imagine that there is a future you, right, that is going to have a relationship with the memory of the you now. So imagine yourself in 10 years, 20 years, 30 years, whatever that is. Imagine yourself at quote-unquote retirement, okay? And, you know, are you going to look back and be really proud of the decisions you made now? And can you, in this moment, live in a way that honors that future self at the expense of immediate gratification? Okay? So when I say money is counterintuitive, it's set up to be fast. It's so much easier to spend it than it is to save it. Right? It's so much easier to you know, not think of that future self and just be like, I want to go to the movies, or yeah, I want to spend on this or whatever. Okay? So money's tough. It's counterintuitive. Money's also complex. All right? There are a lot of moving parts. I'm going to simplify it down. I'm going to make it really, really easy to get started with this. But money gets really complex. There's hedge funds, and do I need insurance? How much insurance, right? And it's not set up by the people out in the world to be easy for you. The system is set up against you, and the people that understand money do funky things, both with marketing and with interest rates and little pull-offs here and there that are crushing you. So it's easier to spend. Money's complex, and you know, here's the bottom line: we can't win if we don't know how, right? Like, how could we possibly do that? So here come my doodles. All right, and I get this base idea from a book called The Richest Man in Babylon by George Clason. It's literally the one move that you want to focus on. So if you needed a technique or something simple, this is it. It's totally easy, and it's absolutely obvious, and I want you to start doing it right now, today, okay? So here's the deal. We take 10% of any money that comes in, or more, all right, at least 10%, and we put it into savings. And we never, ever, 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 ever spend it, okay? Because we will never get financially free unless we are building up savings that can itself make money and kick off an income to us, all right? At some point, we're going to need to do this. Now, I want to test you. Do you even think about wealth as if, like, well, if I save it, eventually I'm going to spend it, of course? No, actually, you're not. You're going to grow potentially a legacy. You're going to do whatever. And here's why. If you don't set up a forever fund, something that you're growing, you're not going to stay wealthy because you're going to keep doing those payout things. But worse than that, you know, medicine is getting wildly better. Technology is moving at the fastest rate ever. We might all of a sudden live 30 years longer than we think, right? And so if we've spent it thinking, oh, I'm going to pass away at 80 or 90 or 100 or whatever, you might find out that we start living to 100, 120, 130, and what are you going to do then, okay? So the next thing is that 90% of what we do goes to spending, all right? That's what we do. And here's the deal. In that book, The Richest Man in Babylon, he points out that spending 9/10 of what you do, as an example, again, I would suggest upping it from 10% as you can. I put away more than that myself. And I'll show you that in a second. But it doesn't feel any different, right? If the 10% just goes away, we end up normalizing to whatever we have in the checking account to spend. So we actually want to set this up on autopilot so that it beats our biases, those biases of immediate gratification, of give it to me now, all that. We want to beat our biases, okay? So imagine that, and I'll go through the difference of this if you have a job or you own a company, because I know it's different for different people, and there's serious tax changes. I'm going to go through all that in a second. But this is the core move. If you set it up so that as soon as money comes in, let's say you get a paycheck, right? 10% of that goes right into savings, and you never, ever, ever look at the savings. It just grows. Imagine whatever you made last year and the year before and the year before that. If 10% of that had been moved out and growing, okay? So I want to ask you, put it in the chat. I don't know if I can look at it right this second, but I want it for later so that I can look through. How many of you do this or more already, right? It's obvious. People know it. But who's actually doing it or not doing it, right? And I don't care what you make. I don't care how poor you think you are. You can do this. I don't care if you have debt presently. You can do this. Now, there are reasons that you would pay off the debt first, etc. But this super simple move your money over to savings matters a lot. So I'm going to make it a little bit more complex, okay? The first little upper left part of this is the same. We got our money coming in, we've got our guaranteed savings, and we've got the amount that we spend down. Let's look down the spending column there. The spending side of things, we don't want to use credit, right? There's two big costs in our life. And this would be good for its own slide. Taxes are huge, so we want to be efficient with taxes. I don't mind paying taxes because it goes into helping things. I wish they were spent really efficiently and all that. And we want to not pay more than our share of taxes, but taxes are a big thing, but they're a huge cost, right? Governmental taxes, sales tax, tax on your home, tax here, tax there, tax everywhere. Tax is huge. The other big one is finance charges. Okay, so one of the quick things that we want to do is we don't want to be financing things on credit card and letting them float at high interest rates. That just is doing exactly the opposite. We want to get to a budget, but I'm going to show you later, budgets are actually not that effective in most cases. And it's because we fail on our decisions. We make the budget, we get all into it, it feels really good to do it, and then in the moment we do immediate gratification and we don't do the thing. So over on the savings thing, how this can get a little bit more complex is we want to create some type of forever account. And then another way to do this is to make other little accounts for the big things in our life that we want to buy. Okay, we want to buy a car. Instead of putting it on credit first, save up for the car ahead of time, right? Don't buy it until you can afford it. Now, obviously, life doesn't always work that way, but a vacation, are you regularly spending on top of your forever savings for the next vacation that you do? How nice would it be if you had, the $2, $3, $4 grand, whatever it's going to be on your vacation, already there, ready to spend? It's been sitting making interest, and you become your own bank. Okay, you become your own bank. Now, after savings, we want to, when it gets to a certain level, I recommend 5,000, maybe 10,000. We move it out of a savings vehicle and into an investment vehicle, and this is when we really start getting growth. Okay, this investment gets put away into things like real estate, stocks, right, etc. Making sure that we're protected with insurance and all that. Having a real plan. I want to point out that the two places that we fail are in that savings habit. Right, that very beginning, are we doing that at all to begin with? And we fail in our decisions against our budget in what we're doing, right, with that immediate gratification. So I want you to think about this. Think about moving money away. And what this is really called is paying yourself first. I'm going to go into that in a second, okay? I want to show how this gets a little bit more complex for a business owner than it does for an employee. This left little flow chart here, the tax situation and all that stuff comes out before you get your money. All right, you get your money in that dollar sign in the middle, and it's pretty easy to go into do a regular savings habit of 10% or 20% or 50% or whatever you can do to move over to savings, and then your expenses come out there. The employer and all that is dealing with Social Security tax, all this different stuff. For a business owner, it's a little different. On the right-hand side, I used to not know. If you look at the bottom, I had that sort of the second box up in that middle column there. It says pay yourself the net. That's like what you make out of your business to you personally. And I used to try and do this savings move way down there, okay? And that actually didn't work. So that arrow on the right going way back up, it's worked phenomenally better for me to start this way up above the business stuff. So what I do now is the gross money comes in, and you notice these are solid boxes because as a business owner, you actually have, the money's in your control there. I move personally, this is my personal stuff, I move 20% over to savings, and I put 20% in tax savings because I have to manage that, right? That has to come out of me. That an employer is not doing that for me. And then out of the gross that's left, that 60% that's left, that becomes my business spending, which there's huge tax advantages to owning your own business. Okay, so if you're an employee now, you can get wealthy doing that, but starting your own business, there's huge advantages against tax and all that. Part of the business expenses that come out of that are paying yourself, paying other people, and all that. And then your personal expenses come out of that. You can then have a personal savings plan, right, where that X is out. You could do more than that. But I, being the owner of my business, do that off the top. So what am I doing? I'm removing it from the system. I'm never bad on taxes. And one of the biggest breaks here is that, I got a new accountant last year, and they were like, you don't owe anything in taxes this year. So that extra 20% I've been putting away for tax savings crushed it and became my money also, right? So I'm way ahead on that kind of stuff. So the core move here is, just to simplify, is to pay yourself first. Why wouldn't we do that? All right, really think about it. Why wouldn't we pay ourselves first? The reason we don't do it is because we don't really value ourselves, right? Why is the electric bill more important than you are, than your future version of yourself? Why would your car payment come before paying yourself? Okay, so when we look at this, if you think about it, this super simple model, moving that 10% over is just saying, you know what, before anybody else, I'm going to take care of me, period. And this level of respect with your money, that level of respect of yourself, okay, changes the whole game. This is the core move, I promise. So look again at how simple this is to do. It can definitely get more complex. It gets much more crazy after this. But over time, you'll definitely grow your money. You have to, because you're taking 10% out into savings. Okay? There's no way to not grow your money. So you say, yeah, that's great, Rob, but I want to make more money. I want to increase my income, right? That's the core move. That's the majority of what people that took the survey thought. They think they need to make more money. I'm going to share what the base thing is. There's one trick to this that actually translates across, and I'll give you a resource, to help you go there. But this is not the most important thing. It's definitely important. We all want to make more. It's massively important, okay? But if we can't manage what we do have, we're in trouble, right? It's not how much money you make. It's how much money you capture as it goes by to grow wealth, all right? But that said, making more money is wickedly important. So 2 words, here's the deal. Learn sales, period. Okay, learn the psychology of selling. And more than that, what sales truly is, okay? This is more than marketing. I'll tell you why in a second. All right, if you run your own business, this matters. It also matters if you're an employee, no question, okay? The reason is that this is the core of marketing. What is sales? It's connecting people with valuable solutions. It's the understanding of what is valuable. All right? You have to understand how to see other people with compassion and empathy. You have to learn how to find their problems. When you care about sales, it's not about you, it's about them. It's about finding the right solution and connecting people with problems to a solution, whether you actually sell it or not. But it's that magical, helper that can connect somebody to what they need, okay? Guess what? Marketing doesn't work without this. There's all those marketing courses out. I even have one. There's marketing courses out online. If you don't get the sales argument, if you don't get the heart-centered way to connect people with a solution, then your marketing is going to go flat. You're going to just be a lot of noise that nobody's listening to, okay? So the reason this is important for the person who doesn't own their own business and has a job, knowing sales makes you attractive to the employers as you understand and how to speak the benefits of what you do and how to sell the importance of what you do. It's exactly how I climbed the ranks in my old career, period, okay? If you don't have a job, it's how you get a job, okay? Learning how to solve solve problems with solutions for employers makes you the most attractive candidate. So learn sales. A resource for that I have a program called Connect and Close. There's a free webinar at Connect and Close. Don't go do it now. But later you can check it out and sign up for the next one that's coming up. It's for people who are basically trying to sell services, sell coaching services, sell consultancy and all that, and they're trying to offer high dollar amount. It will teach you tons about sales. The webinar on that does offer a program, but it is incredibly valuable. So go check that out. The other quick thing I want to talk about, that investing level. Get advisors, okay? You need to know enough. You can continually learn, but to really be good at this, you have to get advice from people who do it for a living and do it full time. Have someone help you manage your money. And if you don't have somebody helping you manage your money now, think about how inspiring that is to get up a little savings account and investment account and have advisors in there that you're regularly dealing with, that they're holding you accountable, and you have a real plan, okay? Another quick thing that I want to teach here is levels of accounting. We're talking about the management of money in our life, and I'm going to explain why budgets don't work that much or that well for us, okay? And I'm trying to go fast here. I know that we're coming up. I did not think this would take this long. We're going to go long today. The levels of accounting for us, level one is just, you know, kind of putting our finances together for taxes. It's basically categorizing you know, where our spending went, okay? So accounting is literally to account for money. Like, what was the spending, what was all that? There's cash flow, there's all this crazy advanced stuff. But at the very first level, we just basically have to kind of know, like, what did we spend things on, how much went to dining, how much went to running our business, how much went to whatever. So we're ready for taxes. But that doesn't really help us, right? That gets us to a number to pay our taxes, but if we don't know the key indicators, like what matters, how much should I be spending on dinners out, what should groceries be costing, right? The key indicators there are like, where does it flag a level that says, oh, we have a problem here, and how can we get ahead of that? We need key indicators in our categories, right, in our accounting. And lastly, we don't just decide what the key indicators are. We have to actually regularly look at it and make decisions based on what's happening in our life. Okay? So again, I'm going to back up for a slide. We're talking levels of accounting here, and it's not just tax stuff. It's you accounting for your finances, right? So the first one is categorization, being ready for taxes. Next one is picking what of these matter. Okay, like are there levels, are there budgets where this is, I should only spend this much on this, and if I go more than that in a month, there's a problem coming. Okay, in business we start to get to a level where you're making decisions that are months ahead of where, you know, the error is going to be, and key indicators go beyond just money. It could be marketing stats, it could be you know, how many website visitors are coming and all that. You can know 2 months ahead that, you know, wow, we're not going to have enough in that sales funnel because we don't have the website visitors this month. That's a problem. So if we don't have key indicators in making decisions, then guess what? Budgets don't work. Okay? Now, there's another reason budgets don't work. They're dependent on our behavior. All right? So they don't work unless we honor the decisions that we make, whatever those key indicators are. So we need to have a plan. We need to have the key indicators. And if you don't have a love affair with your money, you're not going to honor the budget. Okay? You're going to do the immediate gratification. You're going to go do the feel-good thing right now. All right. So should you have a budget? Yeah. All right. But if you're only at the first level, it's not going to do a thing for you. In fact, it's just going to be annoying, and you're not going to deal with it. Okay. So what are the benefits of setting up this system? All right. This should be obvious. Okay. It's not how much you make; it's how you keep. Set up an automated amount of money and pay yourself first. Get advisors. Learn some KPIs or key performance indicators. You know, get to where budgeting does matter for you, and that you're having a love affair with your money. Okay. So, an aside here that's really important. Money represents value, and value is something that humans are incredibly horrible at judging. Okay. We basically look at what other people are paying, and we do crude and rude comparisons to figure out the value of something. And if you actually looked at your spending and thought about how much you spent on a dinner out versus how much you spent on a book that could change your life, you know, it's obscene, right? We pay huge amounts of numbers for certain things, and there's no real lasting long-term value. So understanding value and money is really important. Slowing down and thinking, what is something worth? How much will that change my life really? Okay? But more than that, money is a mirror to our own value inside. Okay? Many of us don't value ourselves, so why in the world would we grow our wealth? Okay? Money is a mirror, so look at your current money situation. It is a reflection of how you value yourself today. Okay? So if your money isn't where you want, I suggest that you're not quite where you want, where you want to be internally. All right. So, how do we automate this? How do we automate success? We have to normalize wealth. and we have to get set up mentally to be rich, and we have to have the skills, right? We've already talked about that, but now we want to automate this, okay? Why? Because how easy is it to move money back, right, from that savings account? If I put that diagram back up, you can save and save and save for 3 months, and then all of a sudden some big issue happens. We get upset with ourselves. We're hurt in some way, and we've set up that auto pay and we grow it a bit, but then we blow it, right? We get our credit card all high and make a mistake and they go, oh, well, just use that savings and pay it down. We don't commit to it. We actually sabotage ourselves, right? And we do this in all kinds of areas. We do this in our weight. We do this in our relationships. We do this in our sales practice. We definitely do this in our money, okay? So how do we change, right? What is change? The story that I tell about this is it's about a woman who wakes up and is 100 pounds overweight and decides, you know what, today I am not going to eat the cake. I am done. I will never eat it again. I am disgusted with myself, right? And it's over. And then by noon, what is she doing, right? She's watching, as she says, I'm not going to eat the cake, I'm not going to eat the cake. The cake is actually going in her mouth against her will, and she eats it. So why is that, okay? We all think that our motivational system is set up to be pleasure versus pain. We think that we avoid pain and we move toward pleasure, okay? It's actually not that. It's familiarity that it is. We actually will avoid pain, and I see the slide is a little off, right? It's pain versus familiarity. We're not trying to get to pleasure. We're actually trying to stay in the familiar. We're trying to stay safe. This is what explains like battered wives who stay in really dangerous, violent situations, and they don't leave. Why? Okay? Well, they don't know what's out there. It's not familiar, and so they will actually stay in pain. They don't go for pleasure. They stay in pain because we want to stay safe. Our subconscious mind needs to survive. Our subconscious mind doesn't care about happiness. It doesn't care about our goals and our plans. On a moment-by-moment basis, it is trying to stay safe. And so naturally, we resist all change. And what's funny is our subconscious mind actually moves a lot more of our life than we think. They did tests recently that showed if we think about opening a door, the neurons, the things that actually fire the muscles in our arm, they fire before we've consciously, milliseconds before we've consciously made the decision to open the door. So it's almost as if our subconscious is really running everything. And our subconscious is not about doing new, strange stuff because it's dangerous and it doesn't know, it's not familiar. So actually we are set up to resist all change, which is why change, like true massive change, like the change I'm talking about, the change I've done in my life, is so incredibly difficult. We have to figure it out. We have to actually change on an identity level. So if you want to be wealthy, like really wealthy, right? I don't mean like, oh, I make a little bit more and now I'm successful and I can pay my bills. If you want to actually have the change where your life is completely different, right? You're not going to change until your identity changes. Because self-sabotage and that limit of safety and not doing new stuff is going to make you not do the things that you need to do. So that woman, right, with the cake, she's that 100-pound woman. She's not going to change until her identity changes. She needs to actually believe that she's an athlete. Okay? Now, at 100 pounds overweight, she's not a fit athlete, but if she could wake up and start saying, you know what, I'm not a fat, depressed woman, because as a fat, depressed, overweight woman, that person, to stay the same, keeps eating cake, and the subconscious mind will make the hand go to mouth with cake. All right? But if she starts waking up and normalizes, I'm an athlete, suddenly she decides she's an athlete. If she does that, she feels better as soon as she's committed to a new thing. She doesn't need to lose 100 pounds to feel better. She just needs to start on this, start going to the gym, start losing weight. She might be 80 pounds overweight, but she runs the spin class at the local gym, right? She's the local inspiration. And if she's that, her identity is now I'm an athlete, that's how she really loses the weight. She will get down and be one of the fittest people you've ever known. And for you to save money and grow your money and make more money, it's the same thing. We need to become truly different, okay? So nothing else matters if we're sabotaging ourselves. If we are set with limits in our comfort zone, we're stuck. If we we can have the vision, we can have the skills, we can do all this, but if we're sabotaging ourselves, that's it. All right, there's nothing we can do to reset our finances and even workout plan, losing weight, whatever. All right, because change feels like a death to our ego. All right, it's really scary and we resist it. So let's do a test. All right, what does your mind really say to you when you say, I'm actually going to be rich someday, like really rich? Like just say, I'm going to be a multi-millionaire. Close your eyes and imagine that. Does your brain believe it? Is it like, oh, sure, of course it is? Or does it doubt it? Does it think, no way, not me? We're going to try. We might do okay. I hope I kind of shoot close. But, I'm not really going to be it. Okay? These subconscious thoughts matter. They matter a lot. They are the whole game because they are your identity. Now, how do we change it? Okay? What do we do to change this? We have to repattern the subconscious mind. We have to literally change our identity with that. That woman becomes an athlete. And so for then on, she is an athlete. That new identity needs to be accepted by us. Okay? Somebody who's a failure at money needs to actually become, I am a successful investor. Right? I am a successful entrepreneur. I am a successful employee who's growing or whatever. All right? That new identity needs to be accepted. So I want to share a visualization with you called the fundamental shift patterning process. All right? And this is how you change it. It's how you actually change it in time, past, present, and future, and in all the bodies of yourself. We have 3 bodies. We've got our physical body, our emotional body, and our mental body. Now, this is one of the exercises that's in the brand new program that I'm rolling out. So let's do it right now. All right? I want you to pick something that feels like a limit for you, and we're going to create a new identity for that. So we're gonna pick something like, I am phenomenal at money, or I win at money, or I grow money. Let's do I grow money. All right? I want you to put your hand on your heart right now. We're going to connect with the physical world. And then I want you to state out loud, right? I am phenomenal at money and investing. Say it again. I am phenomenal at money and investing. And now I want you to see the new pattern, right? So first is hand on your heart, connect with your physicality, then say it out loud. Then I want you to see the pattern. When I say see, I mean visualize it. Remember times in your life that you were really good at money. Remember getting money as a gift. Remember getting your first job. See yourself getting checks. Then think about the present. Imagine in the present things changing and making more money, right? See yourself getting a lot of money. Imagine new ways. Have new ideas about how you'll get money. Then see the future, getting more money, right? Imagine selling more. Imagine huge success for yourself. Imagine nice cars, nice homes, all that, okay? So from the top, hand on your heart, connect with this moment, be here. Say out loud, I am phenomenal at dealing with money and growing my wealth. See the new pattern in the past, all the times you've been phenomenal at money. Imagine now new ways that you could be phenomenal, new habits to start. See yourself in the future with massive success and wealth. And here's the most important part, that 4th one. How does that feel? All right? I want you to really get connected to bringing all the way through to your emotions a feeling of gratitude, excitement, positive feelings. If you've picked a statement that makes you feel horrible or nervous or anxious or anything like that, pick a new one, because it has to be accepted by your subconscious. But if that new pattern makes you excited, right? If you can see a future for yourself, if you can see that you've been good at it in the past, you're going to figure it out. You don't allow any negative thoughts. There's no reason. You're making present the new reality, the new identity. You're literally normalizing it at the deepest level, and doing it in your thought, in your body, and in your emotions lets your subconscious go, oh, I got a new choice. I have that identity. I'm okay with that. And it normalizes it, and it's not new. If it's not new, it becomes an automatic choice, and we won't choose the hard thing. Okay? So this process is crucial. All right? So as I told you before, I was going to share something that you might want to check out, some way that you can go through this. I want to kind of pop out of here for just a second and take you over and show you this program. I launched a first version of this back earlier in the year, but I have completely redone it. This is the Fundamental Shift Core program, and this is phenomenal. It's really, really good. I'm hoping that that a link popped up so that you can check out a special offer that I have on this. What this is tons of videos, tons of hypnotic audios, visualizations, different practices and patterning processes so that we can actually change our identity, right? Actually get past self-sabotage, actually get out of doing the things that we don't do properly to make this stuff work, okay? So I'm really, really, really excited about how good this one is. And by the way, if anybody's on here who's bought the first one, you have access to this. I'm going to send that out. But this is brand new right now, okay? And it's the thing that takes that patterning process further. It's the thing that allows us to change our subconscious identity. It allows us to change, you know, it's the fundamental shift that changes the whole game. So let me share one more thing with you really quick. And then, hold on, this guy, this is what I want to share. Hoping we're back at the thing. You know, there's 80 or 90 days left in the year, right? Time is flying. Everybody I talk to struggles with money, and everybody I talk to is actually, you know, really dealing with self-sabotage, etc. So, you know, what's in this program that you can check out? It applies to any limiting issue that you have. Money and wealth is just one. It can help you transform your body. It can help you transform your business, right? And I'm doing this now because I just finally got this thing done, and I'm offering, I've done this thing for thousands of dollars in the past, right? People have hired me individually to do this with them, and it's just cost a ton. I'm making this as affordable as I can. Right now it's $247. And for just today, I'm offering just to people that are on this call a $47 trial just for tonight. Okay, so what's in it are hypnotic audios, visualizations, killer video lessons, patterning processes, different home fun exercises, and it's actually set up for people that don't do the work. There's actually two tracks, right? There's the passive stuff, which are the hypnotic audios and visualizations and the lessons that you can just watch, and then there's the little bit more active stuff, right, which is the patterning process and the home fun. When we usually do programs, we don't really do all the work, right? Well, this is going to work even if you just do the passive stuff. I've set it up purposely on that because I don't want to be somebody who sells a program and it doesn't get results, right? And most programs out there, people buy and they sit on the shelf and nobody does anything. So it works better if you do the home fun exercises and if you do the patterning processes as a practice, but you will change dramatically even if you just get to the hypnotic audios. So all of this was created to end forever your internal limits and to help you really, really move and change. And I've charged thousands for this in the past. Again, right now this is $247, and for right now only, I want to give it a trial. If you can't part with $47 to take a look at this thing and go through the beginning of it, I think you're probably a little nuts or you're resisting something else. And again, it's fully guaranteed. If you are not thrilled, I'm going to refund absolutely every penny. Only keep it if you're blown away. If you decide to keep it after the 7 days, you know, it'll automatically go through with the rest, and then you'll have it forever, which is pretty awesome. So here is the link directly. It's fshift.safecheckout.com, and that's not fully spelled out. It's checkout.com/core47 for this deal. So let's wrap this up. All right, I've gone way long. I apologize for that, but so much of money is around our mentality, our beliefs about ourselves, right? But we also need to know what to do about money. We need to set up those systems, those automatic saving systems, etc. Running a business is tough. There's some basic things we need to know about that. If we're trying to go up the corporate ladder, that's tough in its own way. But we mostly need to normalize wealth. We need to learn how to set up the systems for ourselves and get help from the experts, right? And ultimately learn what it takes to really, really change. I want to thank you so much for your time and attention. This has been a lot of fun, not only to put together, but to just to be with you here. I'm actually going to see if there's anybody in the chat that has any questions, and I'll hang out for a couple minutes, and then we're going to wrap up the Hangout. I highly recommend you take advantage of the trial offer on this new program. So let's go back here and. Okay, and I want to switch the camera to me. Okay, here we go. So, I did it again. Camera on me, there we go. All right, so how we doing? Do you think you had to go through all this stuff? Oh, cool. Thank you, Shannon, for that. Connect and Close is awesome. That other program, sweet. Awesome, Amy, that you're doing that practice. That is great. Shannon, good on the saving. That's phenomenal. Awesome. Okay, Coblin, I'm not sure exactly how to say that. It's good that you have an automatic amount going in, but up it to at least 10%, if not more. Just you're not going to notice it. It really works. Okay, and make it the forever fund. If that didn't make sense, I want to explain that so that people get it. You want to, really, really wealthy people. One of the biggest mindsets is they buy assets that kick off wealth, right? So we're trying to move it over so that our investments can be the things that pay us, right? I own a property now that, pays me potentially $1,000 a month. There's fees and things I sometimes have to fix, but it's $1,000 a month just from rents, right? Easily, over and above the mortgage, totally leveraged. I don't have to invest anything. Any upgrades or fixes come out of that money. It's just pure profit, right? Stock funds pay dividends. Stock funds grow. All of this is what kicks out. And here's a loop, kind of extra thing to think. Once you're living off your financial freedom account, once that's what pays you, or there's real money coming off it, that's the only way to be free. Even that becomes income that 10% goes back in so that it continues to grow, and you only spend 90% of that. This is a habit that continues on, okay? Legacy funds and all that are phenomenal. Once you live, when it's time to go, you end up passing on as an incredibly wealthy person and having funds to leave to family, to friends, to a cause you believe in, etc. So that's really what the deal is. I don't know if there's any more stuff. Scott says that the screen wasn't changing. I apologize if the Hangout wasn't flying through just right. I might have paused on a slide for a little while. And I'm glad you got really excited, Shannon. That's phenomenal. Cool. So I don't see any problems. It looks like we lost Lisa, my business manager. I think she got booted out due to internet. But I hope that was really valuable for everybody. I'm gonna call it a session there. Thank you so much for your time and attention. Please check out Fundamental Shift the Core if you have any sort of feeling about self-sabotage or limiting beliefs, or you can kind of tell that your mind is having issues with that. All right. I'm going to close it up, and I'll talk to you guys really soon. Thanks.